Hi, this is Clobbering Time with Craig, episode 3, and today I'm going to be talking about Payback, the results of that, as well as Raw, SmackDown, and a few other things, as well as some DVD releases that are coming out soon, and also have just come out. But first, I'd like to talk about hayleigh, who sadly passed away on Tuesday morning. Now, I've got to know hayleigh through my girlfriend Samantha, who went to Miami WrestleMania together, and also got to know her sister Shirley as well. And yeah, hayleigh was a dedicated WWE fan. Spent a lot of her time and money towards going to WWE events. Travelled all over the UK with Leah and Mark. And he also went to WrestleMania a couple of times, and also did the WWE VIP package, which I know costs a lot of money. And yeah, she spent a lot of her time going to all the shows and got to know a lot of the wrestlers as well. And there were some nice tributes on Twitter this week from all her friends and also many of the wrestlers, which was really nice to see. Yeah, it's been a tough week, but yeah, it's very sad. But yeah, I'd like to say that, you know, Leah and Mark, if you need any of us, we're always here for you. And the same goes for Shirley. You know, everyone loves Shirley, so we're all here for you in this tough time. Anyway, I'm going to move on before I break up. Payback pay-per-view I'm going to start with. First one was the pre-show, which was Sheamus against Damien Sandow. Now, Sheamus won by pinfall, and didn't get to see the match because I didn't stay up for the show. Still need to watch that at some point. But yeah, basically everyone thought Sheamus got the win. And there was no particular order. I'm just going to go through these. You had Caitlyn versus AJ for the Divas title, which AJ won via submission. Which at one point it looked like Caitlyn was going to get the win when she speared AJ, but she took too long with getting the pin and it backfired, and basically AJ is the new Divas champion. It was a good match. And I thought it was going to end in the DQ, but they went with AJ getting the win straight away. Next was Ambrose versus Kane, which was not the greatest of matches. You know, Ambrose is great, but he's limited on what he can do with a big guy like Kane. And Ambrose won the match via count out, which was a little disappointing. They could have had Ambrose get the pin, to be honest. But Ambrose won anyway, which is the main thing. Next was the IC title match, which was Wade Barrett versus The Miz versus Curtis Axel, who replaced Fandango, who got injured, who had concussion, unfortunately. And Miz put Wade Barrett into submission move, and Curtis Axel ran in and pinned Wade Barrett and took advantage of the moment. And Axel basically stole the win from The Miz. So we've got a new Intercontinental Champion in Curtis Axel. Next was the tag title match, which was Seth Rollins and Reigns versus Daniel Bryan and Randy Orton, which Seth Rollins and Reigns won via Daniel Bryan being pinned by Seth Rollins, thanks to basically Randy Orton shoved Daniel Bryan in front of him and he took the spear for him, basically. So still tag team champions Seth Rollins and Reigns. And next was Y2J versus CM Punk, and yes, CM Punk did show up. Some people weren't sure if he would, but luckily he did show up. And there was times in the match where it looked like Paul Heyman was going to turn on CM Punk, especially when he stepped up on the stair during the match. It looked like he was setting him up to lose. But Punk hit the GTS, which then Jericho stumbled into the turnbuckle, and then hit the GTS again and got the 1-2-3. And after the match, you could see Punk wasn't happy with Heyman for sticking him in the match, which will lead to what happens on Raw when I talk about that next. Next was the World Heavyweight title match between Dolph Ziggler and Alberto Del Rio. which Del Rio kept kicking Dolph Ziggler in the head over and over again, and they talked about stopping the match, but didn't, and it ended with Del Rio getting the pin and becoming new World Heavyweight Champion. And at the time I was really angry about this, because it just seemed like a waste to do that to him already. But sometimes in that heat of the moment you don't look further into the future, the whole thing of it. You know, you don't look into the future of how it's planning out for future shows. But basically what they were doing was having Alberto reverse back to being a heel, and it looks like Dolph's going to switch with him and be a face, which I don't mind, and it looks like, judging by speculation, everything, that Dolph could end up fighting Alberto Del Rio for the world title at SummerSlam again, which, if that's the case, then I'm fine with what happened at the pay-per-view. Main event, John Cena versus Ryback. This was 3 stages of hell. The first match was a lumberjack match, which was won by Ryback via pinfall. Second was the tables, which John Cena won as expected. And then the ambulance match, which ended with John Cena hitting his finishing move on Ryback on the top of the ambulance, with Ryback going through the ambulance. And it was always going to end by a big move like that if he was going to beat Ryback. So still WWE Champion John Cena. That was how the pay-per-view finished, which I thought was a decent pay-per-view. A few title changes, and yeah, it was a decent show overall. Right, next was to Raw. Raw started with Alberto Del Rio doing a promo in the ring, moaning about how the fans don't cheer for him and how they cheer for others, going back to his normal sulking sort of self. And then he was interrupted by CM Punk, who challenged him to a match for later on in the night. And then you had Wade Barrett versus the returning Christian on Raw, which was nice to see Christian finally back in the ring. Christian won the match with the kill switch. And there was Sheamus versus Damien Sandow and Cody Rhodes in a handicap match, which ended with Sandow getting the pin on Sheamus, which was surprising because I thought Sheamus would win. It was nice to see Sandow get a pin. Next was Randy Orton versus Daniel Bryan, which finished with them stopping the match as Randy Orton was beating down on Daniel Bryan outside the ring, and they said that he was unable to continue, which there was some speculation that he was genuinely injured. How true that is, I don't know. But it basically led into the story for what happened on SmackDown. And next was AJ in the ring celebrating her win, which led to Stephanie McMahon coming out telling her what she thought of the way she went about doing things with Caitlyn, which AJ returns by mocking Stephanie, saying that she's a younger version, better version of Stephanie, which I get the feeling they might be leading to a match between those two, which would be interesting. And then Caitlyn came out to interrupt, and when Stephanie was leaving, said to Caitlyn, "Don't ever do that again," which was quite funny because Caitlyn looked a bit scared. And basically ended with Caitlyn and AJ brawling in the ring, which they're obviously going to fight again, possibly at the next pay-per-view, you never know. Then Kane beat Dean Ambrose via DQ, with the Shield coming out and attacking Kane. And Triple H told Vicky backstage to make an example of him, which she never did because Vince would tell her she was doing a good job, and then Stephanie would tell her another thing. She didn't know who to go with. Antonio Cesaro had Seth Coulter in his corner for his match with William Regal, which I thought was good to see, as I think that's all Antonio needs, is a good manager. Hopefully they'll team him up with Swagger when Jack Swagger returns from injury. I think it'd make a very good tag team. Antonio Cesaro beat William Regal in that match, which was a good match, which you can always get a good match from Regal. Next was John Cena's speech about beating Ryback at the pay-per-view, which then Mark Henry interrupted. Now this, to me, was the best segment of the night. Mark Henry gave the impression to everyone that he was retiring, was crying and everything, saying he's coming home and all this. And then when he went to hug Cena at the end, he basically slammed him to the ground. which is obviously leading to the world title being on the line at Money in the Bank with John Cena versus Mark Henry, which is a very good segment. It really pulled everyone in and seemed to trick a lot of the fans, that's for sure. It was very well done by Mark Henry. Then there was Jericho beating Heath Slater, which was just a basic match, no real meaning to it. Curtis Axel pins Sin Cara with The Miz at ringside, where they're obviously building to Curtis Axel feuding with The Miz, possibly fighting him in the next pay-per-view, which I still think Curtis Axel will be champion going into at least SummerSlam, possibly beyond that, or possibly even all the way up to November, depending on how much they enjoy what he's doing right now. Then there was Punk versus Alberto Del Rio in a non-title match, which ended with Del Rio walking out and Punk winning via count-out, and Dolph Ziggler came out and attacked Del Rio. And then as they left the ring, Brock Lesnar's music hit while Punk was still in the ring. Brock Lesnar came down to ringside, was about to talk on the mic, and suddenly hit the F5 on CM Punk to finish the show with basically CM Punk flat out in the ring, which is clearly leading to what I think will be CM Punk versus Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam, which I'll be very much looking forward to, as I'll be there, and that will be a very good match, I would imagine. Be an interesting match, that's for sure. I'm not sure who would actually win that match. I have a feeling Brock Lesnar would, but personally I'd like to see CM Punk win. Next was SmackDown, which started with Daniel Bryan in the ring moaning about how his match with Randy ended on Raw. And as usual, going on about being the weak link and so on, which is getting a bit boring now. So need to move on from that. Which ended with basically Randy Orton came out to confront Daniel Bryan and said that he's basically had enough of him, and that at the end he's going to hurt him when he fights him in the main event, to a point where he won't be able to walk out. And then the first match of the night was Sheamus beating Cody Rhodes, which was expected, and then led to Sandow entering the ring and attacking Sheamus, which seems like they're leading to another match at the pay-per-view, which hopefully will be on the show this time instead of the pre-show. AJ beat Natalya in a decent match via submission. Curtis Axel beat Wade Barrett via pinfall, which I'm not sure where they're going with Wade Barrett here. I'm really hoping it's going to lead to him going more into the main event, with hopefully maybe winning the SmackDown side of Money in the Bank, or maybe even the Raw side, whatever. But you know, I'd like to see Dolph Ziggler win one case and Wade Barrett the other, because Wade Barrett really should be world champion, and he seems to be not really doing a lot with him at the moment. They didn't do a great job with his IC title reign, to be honest, which was a shame. Next was Christian versus Drew McIntyre, which was a good match because, you know, I think Drew McIntyre's a really good wrestler and he's just wasted at the moment. I'm really hoping they'll go back to his chosen one gimmick and to have someone like make him a Paul Heyman guy, because I think that would make a huge difference to Drew McIntyre, really would. But whether they'll go with it, time will tell. Chris Jericho versus Alberto Del Rio, which ended in Dolph Ziggler coming to the ring, I'll remember his name in a minute, and attacking Del Rio, which Jericho wasn't happy about because it basically cost him the match. And which Jericho then attacked Dolph Ziggler, leaving him flat out in the ring for Del Rio to come back in and attack Dolph Ziggler. There was one other thing I forgot to mention from the pay-per-view. A video segment during the show was the returning Rob Van Dam. He'll be returning at Money in the Bank, which was really nice to see, because there's been rumours about it for weeks now, but I was starting to wonder if it was really going to happen or not. But luckily he is coming back at Money in the Bank. From what I hear, it's only a short-term contract, and he won't be appearing on house shows or anything like that. I get the feeling it's a bit like what Brock Lesnar's current contract is, but hopefully it'll be extended and he'll stay longer. It's nice to see him back in the WWE. Hopefully he'll be in the Money in the Bank match itself. Yeah, basically the main event of SmackDown was... what's wrong with me? Randy Orton versus Daniel Bryan, which ended with Daniel Bryan winning by a count out, which was, again, I don't like count out endings, it's disappointing. But yeah, Daniel Bryan got the win, which was good to see, and he's having some good matches with Randy at the moment. It's good to see Randy Orton in something meaningful at the moment. Yeah, it seems to be ringing out the better side of Randy Orton at the moment. It's giving him something to look to. Because lately, I don't know what their problem is with Randy. They just won't make him a heel, and I don't know why, because it's gone really stale, him as a face, and you can see he doesn't want to be a face, so just let him turn. I can understand them not turning Cena because of the whole money thing, but with Randy they should just turn him, because he's so much better as a heel. Right, next I'm going to talk about some new DVD releases that have just come out through the new WWE DVD site. There's WrestleMania 29, which has been out for a couple of weeks now, I think, 2 or 3 weeks, which I've already got. Best of In Your House, which looks like an interesting DVD. I'll definitely be getting that in the next couple of weeks. Also, Best of WCW Nitro Volume 2, which should be a good viewing. And DVDs that are coming out soon is UK Live show from when he was here in April. Top 25 Rivalries, which looks like a very good DVD to watch. I'll be having a look at that at some point. And WCW War Games, which for anyone who watched WCW, I'm sure they'll be interested in that. Next, I wanted to talk about something a friend of mine mentioned on, where's the website? It's rantsports.com. My friend's name is Jess. She does some posts on there, and was talking about possible feuds for Fandango when he returns. She mentioned the possibility of Curtis Axel, but to me, for that to happen, one would have to turn face, which obviously Curtis Axel's not, and they can't really have a Hell versus Hell, because every time they do that, the crowd sits on their hands and stays quiet and there's no response. But I just can't see him turning Fandango face right now. I can't see it suiting his gimmick right now, and I think it'd be a bit too soon. Let me know who you think Fandango should feud with when he comes back. I mean, fighting Curtis Axel would make sense to an extent, because Curtis Axel replaced him at the pay-per-view, and Fandango would feel that he was basically taking the IC title from him. But whether W were turning face right now is another thing. But let me know what you think Fandango's next feud should be. And also, she also did a page on Daniel Bryan with the whole weak link storyline, how he basically should be main eventing as he is a veteran and not playing the underdog anymore. And yeah, I mean, I've enjoyed watching Daniel Bryan over the past few weeks or so. It's him playing that underdog has really brought out his more aggressive side, and he's been very entertaining to watch lately, because before that it just seemed like he was going stale, he was getting beat a lot, and he was being made to look like this weak link basically. It seemed like he was going nowhere. It's looking a lot better for him now, and hopefully they'll push him into the main event spot. But yeah, let me know what you think of Daniel Bryan with this whole weak link situation. See what you think of it. Yeah, and there was one other thing before I finish, what I want to mention with regards to hayleigh. A friend of Shirley's, Dana, has created a fund page for basically raising money for the family, donations for the family. It's on a site called GoFundMe.com. Now, the link to this is on my Twitter page, which is CraigB WWE1. I'll be posting a link again later on. I'm sure many of you have seen it already. But anything you can donate is appreciated, as the family basically lost everything they had in the house, as well as Shirley also lost hayleigh and her mother. So anything you could donate would be much appreciated. They're currently at about 3,500 last time I looked. They're hoping the next target is to get it to 6,000, which I'm hoping they'll be able to get it done soon. And yeah, me, my sister Karen, Chris, Samantha and Maxine will be climbing the O2 in August to raise money for the Kaur Fund as well. So we'll be posting the link to that in once we've booked it basically. So yeah, I'll be posting that all over my Twitter once that's been dealt with, and I basically think that's it for this week's show. Next week I'll be talking about the usual Raw, SmackDown. Also be showing you some of the signed merchandise that I have built up over the years, which is quite a bit, so it's going to take me a while to put all that together, plus any questions you have. Yeah, basically that's this week's show, and I'd like to dedicate this show to Hayleigh, who was a friend of mine. Anyway, that's it for this week's show, and I'll speak to you next week. Bye.